Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello dear students, I am Dr. Mona Simalti from HNB Garhwal University, Srinagar Garhwal, and I welcome you all in this module, and I hope you all are staying home and stay safe and take care of yourself and your family members. So let us move. In this module we are going to discuss today dandruff and hair loss. So these both are very common hair related problems. So let us move the learning outcome. After going through from this module, you will be able to know about dandruff, their causes, treatment, as well as about hair loss, its causes and treatment. So this is your lesson plan. So dear students, you all are familiar of dandruff. Dandruff is basically shading of the skin of scalp. It appears in the form of white flakes. So as you can see in this diagram, in this figure. So dandruff, it is basically harmless and it is a chronic condition that occurs when the scalp becomes dry or greasy and it produces white flakes. As I said, it produces white flakes of dead skin that appears in the hair or on the shoulders. So it is harmless, although it's not going to harm you in any way, but it is little embarrassing for those people who have it. So skin cells are formed continuously. So we all know that our skin cells are formed continuously on the scalp. So the shedding of the dead cell is a normal process. But with dandruff, however, the skin cells are shed at very faster rate than the normal. So oil from the scalp, it causes the skin cells to clump together and appears as a white flecks. So what are the symptoms? So dear students, the symptom of dandruff are like white color, flecks of your scalp hair. So it appears and your scalp becomes itchy and scaly and so the signs and symptoms of dandruff may be more severe, okay, if you are stressed, and they tend to flare in cold and dry season. So these are the symptoms of dandruff. So now moving to the dry scalp dandruff. So dry scalp dandruff, when it causes, so there are two conditions in distinct. The dandruff causes the scalp to flake and may cause visible flake on the clothing in or on the hair. So in some cases it is due to the fungal infection also. So dry scalp so it occurs when the scalp does not produce or hold enough moisture. So basically we are talking about dry skin. So dry skin sometimes results in dandruff. Okay. So when the enough of the moisture is not there in the scalp, then the problem of dandruff may arise. Now, factors that causes the dandruff. One factor which we already discussed about dry skin. So it is very common cause of dandruff. So the flax from the dry skins, they are very small and less oily, and those who have the other causes of dandruff. So second important cause is uh, irritated oily skin. Okay, so this condition is marked by red greasy skin covered with flaky white or yellow scales. Other causes, eczema and psoriasis. So these two are basically skin related problem, but when they are related to the scalp basically is the area where this problem arise, like eczema, which is a chronic inflammatory condition where the patches of the skin become inflamed. So the scalp basically, the base uh, it becomes inflamed, itchy and red and cracked and rough. So it may cause dandruff. Psoriasis, a skin condition which is marked by rapid buildup of rough, dry, dead skin cells that form the scars. Or it appears to have sometimes dandruff. Other condition, seborrheic dandruff. Okay, so seborrheic dandruff, it is a skin condition that causes the scaly patches and red skin, and mainly in the scalp. So the scalp becomes dry or greasy and there is a itchy feeling in the scalp. So the affected area of newborn babies may get thick and crusty rash on the scalp. So this is also called cradle crack. So it is one of the factor that cause dandruff. And not shampooing, there is one another factor, that is if you are not taking care of your hair and scalp properly. So not shampooing often, if you don't regularly wash your hair, so the oil and the skin cell from the scalp can build up and it cause build up and it causes dandruff. Other factor, the yeast like fungus. Okay, so malasseza, which lives on the scalp of most of the adults, but for some it irritates. Okay, it causes irritation in the scalp, so it irritates the scalp and it causes more skin cells to grow. So the extra skin cells dies and fall off and it appears in the form of a white plaques. Okay. Another factor is the sensitivity of hair care products. Okay, that is the that we also discuss in like in contact dermatitis. Okay, so shampooing too often or using too many styling product may irritate your scalp. So this, if we use some the large quantity of hair care cosmetics and hair care products, so it is going to as a drawback, as a side effect of that, it may result in skin sensitivity. Okay, so moving to the treatment part of dandruff. So the very common and the what we can suggest for the treatment part is the follow a healthy diet. So and nourish your hairs properly, do not let them dry. Okay, nourish your hairs, oil your hair properly, and having a good nutrition diet like fatty acid, omega-3 acids, vitamin B and zinc. So a dietary resources for these essential vitamins and minerals are like the dietary product which have these vitamins like fish, broccoli, walnut, spinach, egg, cabbage, whole grain. So these are some dietary recommendations, that your diet should be completely balanced. It should not lack any vitamin and important mineral. So this is one treatment. Second is stress. Dandruff also results sometimes due to the high level of stress. So stress is known to be the major cause of dandruff. So moreover, it also weakens your immune system and it causes various skin diseases. And stress management technique then is suggested, like yoga and breathing exercises, meditation, to keep you away from the stress. And sometimes the natural oil, use of natural oil such as coconut oil, almond oil, it is also helps in dandruff, as it is going to keep your skin moisture, so there will be no dryness. And if in our day-to-day life also, nowadays people, most of the people have replaced their normal shampoo to the anti-dandruff shampoo, just to the anti-dandruff shampoo is basically the having the same uh, properties as the normal shampoo has, but there are some uh, special ingredients are added to control or uh, to control the dandruff. Okay, so use of anti-dandruff shampoo, it is with some special ingredients. So a number of antifungal treatments have been found to be effective in dandruff, like ketoconazole, zinc pyridine and selenium disulfide. Okay, as when we were discussing in this module about the causes of dandruff, so we also discussed that it may be due to some sort of fungal infection. That is why it is antifungal treatment is given sometimes, like as I mentioned, these three: ketoconazole, zinc pyridine and selenium disulfide. Okay, so ketoconazole shampoo is to be most, if it is very effective basically. So ketoconazole is a broad spectrum anti-myotic agent, so that is active against both candida and M. furfur. Okay, so all other like imidazole and ketoconazole has they are two very important. And sometimes cyclopirox, which is also very widely used. So dear students, uh, we discussed about dandruff, what are the factors which are responsible for causing the dandruff and its treatment. So let me summarize here that dandruff, which is a scalp skin shading basically in the form of white plaques. Okay, so you might be familiar of dandruff, that how it looks like. It looks like in the form of white plaques. Okay, so it is normal condition, uh, and it's very common, and it's not going to harm you in any way. But if the condition becomes severe, so you need to see your expert in that in that condition basically. So so there are a number of factors, as I said. So it may be due to the eczema, because of psoriasis, dry skin, and because of other problems. So if it is very worse, if the condition is very worse, then the complete treatment is recommended for patients. Okay, but in normal cases, if it appears for some time, so if you use anti-dandruff shampoo regularly, then it goes away. Okay, and some homemade recommendations are also there for dandruff, although I have not mentioned this recommendation in these slides. But tea tree oil, it is recommended, and salicylic acid basically it is recommended. Homemade recipe, it also include that crush a small tablet of aspirin and add it into your anti-dandruff shampoo and use it. Okay, so this, and obviously nourishing, having good diet, having balanced diet with vitamins, minerals. Okay, so these are some recommendations for the treatment of dandruff. Okay, now next we will see about hair loss. So as you can see in this image, how hair loss looks like. So hair loss, it is known as alopecia or baldness. Alright. So it refers to loss of hair from part of head or body. So typically at least the head is involved. Hair loss, the people who complain in major portion is the hair loss of your head. So the severity of hair loss vary from small area to the entire body. So average hair fall is from 100 to 150 hair strand per day. Okay, and alarming hair loss is if it exceeds 150 strands per day. So let us have a quick look on hair follicle cycle. So dear students, just remember we also discussed this thing in our previous module. One of the previous module, there we discussed about hair growth cycle and anatomy of hair. So along with the anatomy of skin. So there were three important phases of hair follicle cycle: anagen, catagen and telogen. Okay, so anagen, it is active hair growth that lasts between 2 to 6 years, and catagen, so transitional hair growth that lasts from 2 to 3 weeks, and telogen, resting phase that lasts about 2 to 3 months. At the end of the resting phase, the hair is shaded and new hair replaces it. So this is in brief the hair follicle cycle. Hair loss or baldness and alopecia, these are synonym of each other. They can be classified followed by male pattern and female pattern baldness also. So male pattern baldness, alopecia areata, that is an autoimmune disorder causing small patchy circular bald patches in several parts of the skin. Alopecia totalis, total loss of scalp hair, and alopecia universal, okay, total loss of hair from the entire body. So other way of classifying hair loss, so we will see here alopecia areata, it is also known as spot baldness, which is a condition in which hair is lost from some area, some or all area of the body. Often it results in a few bald spots on the scalp, each about the size of a coin. It's a coin size. Okay. Alopecia universalis. So alopecia universalis, as I also said before, it causes all body hair to fall out, okay, including the eyebrow, eyelashes, okay. It is most severe part of the it is most severe form of the alopecia areata. So alopecia universalis can occur at any age, okay, and is currently believed to be an immune disorder which a person's immune system is in attack attack the hair follicle. When person's immune system, it attacks the hair follicle of the person, so then only this type of condition may arise. So so genetic factor may contribute in this. We can also uh, we can also understand the loss of hair in two other forms like anagen effluvium and telogen effluvium. So anagen effluvium, it causes due to medication we take, okay, internally, such as when the cancer patients, they go under the chemotherapy, so their hair loss is one of the adverse effect of this, and excessive doses of vitamin A or some hypertension medication if we take, so that kind of hair loss is considered as anagen effluvium. Now telogen effluvium, it is caused due to increased number of hair follicles entering in the latent or the rather dead stage, means the large number of follicles entering in the latent or the dead stage. The most common cause of telogen effluvium is leading to the which leads to the alopecia basically is the physical and the emotional stress, thyroid and other hormonal irregularities. So telogen effluvium, this we already discussed. It is characterized by thinning and shedding of hair resulting from the early of hair in the telogen phase. Androgenetic alopecia. It is a genetic condition basically. It's a common form of hair loss in both male and female. So in men this condition is also known as male pattern baldness, and in female this condition is known as female pattern baldness. Now moving to the factors affecting hair loss. So there are number of factors that affects the hair loss. Very common hormonal, which is very common factor we consider, and genetic factor, which is very common and which is very predominant over other factors. When the person is having the genetic history of baldness and hair loss. Drugs, uh, chemotherapy induced hair loss, this is one factor. When the patient undergoes in chemotherapy as a part of the cancer treatment, so the patient loses complete hairs. So these are three factors: hormonal level of androgens, and even the hormonal changes in pregnancy, puberty and at menopause. So another factor is burns, injuries and X-ray can cause temporary hair loss. So these are not much dominant. Immune system disease. Okay, this is important. Immune system disorder. When this I also discussed that when the immune system attacks the hair follicle of the person, so it causes alopecia areata. Okay, so in most of the people, alopecia areata, the hair grows back. So this is not a severe kind of hair problem. Cosmetic procedures. So this is also one factor. Uh, Although this is not it is not much important, that cosmetic procedures, so shampooing too often, if the person who shampoo the hair very often, and bleaching, hair dyeing, this also contribute in overall hair harming. So hair loss is one of the uh, result of using excessive shampoo and hair dye. Severe damage to the hair causes permanent bald patches. Okay, in this. Now moving to the treatment part. So treatment of hair loss, although there is no any foolproof treatment of hair loss, but there are few medicines which are recommended. For example, alpha reductase inhibitor, finasteride. Basically it is a synthetic drug which is approved by FDA for the treatment of benign prostatic hyperplasia, okay, and male pattern baldness. So in clinical studies, finasteride is like minoxidil, which was shown to work on both the area and the hairline, but most successful part is the crown area. Next is dutasteride. Okay, the trademark of this dutasteride is Avodart, which is manufactured by GlaxoSmithKline, and it is approved treatment for benign prostatic hyperplasia and used of label for androgenic alopecia. So it is basically dual 5 alpha reductase inhibitors that inhibits the conversion of testosterone to dihydrotestosterone. testosterone. Another one is alpha Trediol. Okay, alpha Trediol is a topical 5-alpha reductase inhibitor. So we have discussed here. We are discussing the third 5-alpha reductase inhibitor. So that has been shown to show the progression of hair loss in the women. Topical treatment, minoxidil. Minoxidil is also very often we hear from the persons who are suffering from hair loss that they are using minoxidil. So minoxidil is an antihypertensive vasodilator medication. So it slows or stops hair loss and promote the hair regrowth. So it is available as a OTC product, over the counter it is available. You can easily get this minoxidil from any chemist shop for the treatment of androgenetic alopecia, and it needs to apply once recommended and is twice a daily and may be used indefinitely for continued support of existing hair follicles and hair regrowth. Okay, anti-androgens. So, okay, anti-androgens, ketoconazole, which is a topical antifungal agent, and imidazole. Ketoconazole, it is effective in the treatment of dermatitis and dandruff, which is also an anti-androgen. So it may improve the hair growth. Okay, spironolactone, which is a possible effective androgen receptor modulator, and both it reduces the adrenal production and exerts a competitive blockage on androgen receptors in the target tissue. Okay, so it can be administered by both the way, topically as well as systemically. Okay, flutamide, which is a more anti-androgenic activity, which has more anti-androgenic activity as compared to spironolactone. Okay, and it is also referred as a chemical castration. So this is also recommended sometimes. Okay, hair transplantation. So this is some sort of surgical treatment for treating hair loss. So surgical technique that moves individual hair follicles from one part of the body, one part of the body called the donor side, to the balding part of the individual. So basically the hair follicles are transplanted from one part of the body to the another that part where the person is having baldness. Okay, and it is primarily used to treat the male pattern baldness. So dear students, these are the references. So now let us conclude this module. Okay, in this module we discussed about two hair related problem, hair loss and dandruff. So we discussed different causes. What are the causes, treatment part of both the things, dandruff as well as hair loss. So dear student, that's all for today, and stay tuned for more videos, and thank you so much for watching this video.